All right, welcome to Rapid Fire Manufacturing. Today we are hanging out with Mike Payne. He's the president and owner of Hill Manufacturing and Fabrication. He's got a pretty awesome story starting off in software to now running multiple companies over the past 20 years. Plus, he's also the host of Making Chips podcast. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining.
I've enjoyed watching your rapid fire questions. You've had a lot of people on there with some really good advice.
Thank you. Like I was saying before too, I got the easy job, so yeah, you ready to jump into the first question?
Let's do it.
All right, so how do you think staying on top of industry trends and utilizing the latest technology has helped shape some of the success, not only at Hill Manufacturing, but maybe some of your other companies as well?
Good question. So I would say I think I don't know that I always stay on top of the latest trends, but I stay informed of them, right? So like I've told a lot of people for years, like my favorite thing about going to IMTS is it's not so much what I'm shopping for today, it's to know what's coming on the market that I might be shopping for next year or in 5 years or whatever, right? So I think it's a responsibility of a business owner to kind of know where their industry's going for sure. As you mentioned, like success at Hill, Hill's a 48-year-old company that I've had for 7 years. When I bought it, it was tired. You had a retiring owner that had been wanting to sell for definitely for the previous 4 to 5 years, probably would have for the previous 7 or 8 years if the right offer came along. Um, and I think that's a trend in our industry right now too, right? We've talked. I know there's been a lot of talk about just kind of this generational shift in the manufacturing space where you've got baby boomers retiring and selling their businesses. Um, so what happens is you don't necessarily reinvest, right?
Mhm.
So with Hill, for example, we were really tired because we had not stayed on top of technology, whether that was, in the traditional sense of software, ERP system, those types of things, or even
Mhm.
just on top of technology, like new tooling technology and work holding technology and all those types of things. So, as I was coming into the industry directly in the purchase of a machine shop, and was learning, I'd learned these really cool ways of, new cutting tool techniques and work holding techniques. I'm like, why aren't we doing any of that? That the type of part I'm watching them do this on, we run that too. But we're not doing it as quick as they're doing it. So learning those things, we couldn't do it all right away, right? I mean,
Mhm.
because a lot of the stuff that you see and you learn about, um, maybe it's just kind of out of reach from a price standpoint, or maybe the technology isn't 100% proven. But as you stay on top of those things and you start seeing those opportunities for that in your either your current or future operations, then it lets you, real just make that investment in yourself to be successful, hopefully.
Yeah. So at IMTS, you're kind of using this to do some research for, machines that you want to potentially use in the future, new, work tools, whatever the case may be. It's planning for future operations.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll use two examples that's kind of on everybody's minds now. Like IMTS 2018, it was the first one I went to as a shop owner. I'd been previously when I was in the software business, but um, I don't remember hardly seeing a robot arm in 18. Of course, 20 there wasn't a show. 22 there was a robot arm in every booth. Felt like, and but there weren't a whole lot of practical uses of a robot arm in 22. I mean, there were, but everybody had one. It was eye candy, right? Well, in 24, similar. There's still a lot around, but there were very practical uses of it. So put that into my own world. And when I bought the company in 2018, we already had robotic welding, We did not have any sort of machine tending or anything like that. But in 22, you see those, and by 23, I had one, and now it's you walk around the show and saw the robots, and they weren't drawing attention. Well, I think the same thing. I think the shift we're in now is like AI, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I expected going into Chicago I was going to be there all week, show up on Monday. I'm expecting that 2/3 of the booths you walk by are going to be, quote, powered by AI, right? What does that mean? What's the practical use of that? And there was a lot of practical use of that. Um, it actually probably was my biggest surprise. I thought there'd be a lot more eye candy AI than practical
Mm-hmm.
AI, but there was a lot. And I came away from the show with some uses of AI in my own operations that we haven't fully integrated, but we're definitely going to be testing and trying out. But I actually there's a quote. I have no idea who said it. It probably sums up the answer to your question. I could have been done 5 minutes ago answering your question, but the quote is something to the effect of, AI will not take your job, but someone that knows how to use it will, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the same thing. If you could just say technology is not going to take your job, but someone that knows how to use it will,
Right.
right? So whether that, and your job may not be your physical job that you get a paycheck for, but it may be that customer, it may be that vendor, those critical components to your business. If you're not staying on top of that technology, someone that is going to take them from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually a really powerful quote.
Yeah, I wish I knew who said it. I mean, I guess Google would probably tell me, but
AI. We can ask Chat
yeah,
GPT who
we
said it.
could we could ask Chat GPT.
And now the overtime question. You good with this?
Let's do it.
All right. So, in your experience running all these different companies, how do you keep continuous improvement at the core of everything across, the entire industry?
That's a great question. And I don't know that I do it well enough to be qualified to answer the question completely. And we try to, but it is easy to fall behind. I actually had a conversation yesterday morning with one of my managers. He comes in, he's going to redevelop. He's changing a process, right? To
Mm-hmm.
to address some issues we've had. Um, and that's great, right? Solve a problem is going to change the way we're currently doing things slightly to try to address it. But in that conversation, um, as he had talked with other managers about solving this problem, they had really all agreed that the way we're currently doing is completely wrong and unnecessary because of some of the technology we've implemented over the last 7 years. So, the question back then was, okay, well, why are we starting with what we've got? Why aren't we just starting fresh with what we want? Right. Um, so, when you were talking to everybody, what do we really need? So, well, we really just need the work order number. Okay. So why are we even changing this form that has all this other information on it? If all you want is something like this that just has the work order number on it, then just do that. Right. We don't, if we
Don't need
don't
to do all the
use,
other.
right.
Yeah.
So, the reason I give that story is, I mean, I think you got to challenge your team, right, to do it. So, because it's a cultural thing. Continuous improvement, I think, is purely a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to shift your mindset to always be looking for not just how to improve it, but maybe flip the script and do something totally different than the way you're doing it. Now, there's also a way I hold myself, not, I guess not hold myself accountable to be focused on continuous improvement, but I do force it, because it's so easy to not change things that are working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a couple of things. we bring in about, through the help of a local, one of our local tech school that's a great partner to the manufacturing community locally. They have grant dollars that they help do things with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we do with that is we bring in a continuous improvement consultant about 5 times a year, for anywhere from 2 to 4 days at a time, and we take in and we address a project, some continuous improvement project. Could be setup reduction, could be tool room organization, could be how we process POs, anything. And I mean, it's a little bit of a financial commitment. I've got a grant partner that helps pay for it. But the main reason I really stick with it is that there's 5 or 6 times a year that we are forced to stop what we're doing and do it, right? Quit talking about things that we need to change. It's like, okay, well, when he's here in December, that's the project we're taking on, right? We also try to work with high schools and colleges to have interns.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty much year round. We've got 2 right now. We'll have same one and a different one in the spring. We'll always have like a college intern or 2 in the summer. And so we'll push those projects to them during that time, and during their time with us as well. So it's not always about someone extra to sweep up floors or push the green button on a machine. Lots of time we're like, no, we want to bring someone in that maybe doesn't know how to organize a tool room at all. We'll have them spend time with that. They'll be involved in that time with the continuous improvement consultant.
Yeah.
They'll lay out a framework. The consultant leaves for 3 months, right? We don't see him again for a couple months. But that intern then has a project to do till the consultant comes back. And we're teaching them how to do continuous improvement, and then also using that to drive us to actually make the changes that come out of that project.
That's really cool too, because you're giving them, I guess, more tasks to do, right? It's not, they kind of see the overall operation, and it might lead to people being more interested, like, hey, I also want to learn about, this operation.
Yeah.
And you're kind of paving a path for them. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I tell you that, I think one of the benefits we get sometimes out of using the interns is, lots of times they go into it with zero knowledge of the subject, right? Of the right way to do things, or the way we do things, right? They literally have to look at it completely blind to the way we've always done it. I mean, that's the death sentence right there, right? That's how we've always done it. Well, you're dead in the water right there if that's the first conversation. So they don't have that perspective of, well, that's how we've always done it. They truly can look at, well, maybe what's best practice? What do other people do? And they can do that research and find out, man, the way we've always done it is stupid. Like, we really ought to, I mean, we're 15 years behind. And that is true sometimes.